Roads? It's the Ernest Hancock Show. Where we're going, there aren't any roads.
Yeah, we got a little bit of dirty laundry for y'all. We need to, keep me from being unalive. That's what we need to do. Now, what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to walk you through this. IRE, Investigative Reporters and Editors. So IRE.org. Now, before the internet, of course, they didn't have a .org. What they had was a list of reporters that would share information via telex and so on, all the president's men kind of typing out, doing their scanning files, and they kind of had early versions of faxes. These are big machines that, expensive, and police stations and reporters had access to this kind of stuff. So they would share this information with each other, and they'd go, yeah, this guy he goes by AKA what's his face, and he came here, and there's a picture and kind of what anybody know anything about. Oh, yeah, let me tell you all about him. Yeah, he's the lieutenant of the sub-commander, mafioso, whatever the heck, and, here's some more information on him. Well, Don Bulls was part of that group. As he's accumulating this information, it got to the point to where one of the guy that said was responsible for killing him asked him to come to a meeting. He's not there. He goes up to his car. It blows up. And you look at the car, man, I mean, damn. They didn't expect that boy to be breathing after that one. It's shocking that he was. So he kind of gets the investigation. They're not going to be able to hide this too much. But you got to keep in mind, the Arizona Republic's part of the machine. When it gets up to the high enough levels, heck no. There's certain things just ain't going to come out, know what I mean? So they have to put on airs of doing something. So it's a big deal, and they got all the shiny objects out there, distracting people from whatever. The investigative reporters and editors, they decide, look, if we're on the front lines, they're going to be taking out and blowing up reporters, we might as well just go home. We might as well just be done. If that's what we can't do any investigative reporting without getting blown up, then we're done. So they decided as a group and an organization that they were going to flood Arizona with reporters. They came downtown at the very hotel that this happened at, and they rented out an entire floor for months. There was, as I remember reading the book, the Arizona Project, which you go to today's archive show, I have the PDF of it right there. You can read it page by page. And the sequel to it, What's in It for Me, which is PDF searchable, where Janet Napolitano starts showing herself. So what happened was the Arizona Project, as it came to be known, was all of these dozens and dozens of reporters from all over the country that came to defend themselves by doing a complete investigation of what happened to Don Bulls and what he was working on. Because they knew if they didn't do this, they just start picking them off one at a time. And they wanted to make it very clear, you do this to one of us, oh, we're going to come visit y'all. So the newspapers, back when I guess they used to have money, they sent their guys, they'd have interns, and I did some research on a lot of these people, and I tell you, I just got to tell you right now, a lot of the people involved, especially interns and different people, they all went to work in public relations for somebody that's the lobbyist, and primarily for the oil industry. So I just found that interesting as I started tracking down a lot of these interns and so on, because they list their names, and so I started tracking them down. I want somebody that was there. Wouldn't you think? You're doing reporting on this? Hey, come on. None of them. Heck no. Don't want to talk about it. Never did. Every single one of them got some kind of job that was related in some way to government. Either lobbying them or inside or something. And people that even wrote the books and everything, oh, heck no. Don't want to talk about it. But the organization IRE.org, man, they'll make a big stinking deal out of the public record of what's on there and how great and wonderful they are because they did this project. Okay, cool. So what I did is I go, all right, give me all the information. What happened is that in the late 80s, in the 88 election cycle, was it 80? No, it was 90 election cycle. Prior to that was the 86 election cycle where Evan Meekum was elected governor here in Arizona. Now, Evan was a Mormon that was very conservative, right? He's like, remember all the Martin Luther King holiday hoopla here in Arizona. He goes, I'm not giving that communist his own special state holiday. The federal government do what they want here in Arizona. We're working. Okay, so people doing boycotts. We don't like Arizona. It's kind of the SB 1070 immigration thing. Here in Arizona, Meekum had to support a lot of people, and then he, shoot himself in the foot by saying some stupid racist thing, whatever, and so he was a target. In his campaign in '86, when he was running for governor, the book, The Arizona Project, that was just done by one of the reporters from Detroit, when they did all this investigation and everything, he wrote a book about it. And that book was bootlegged. It was copied and reprinted and spiral bound and whatever. I didn't know this was a bootleg copy until years later because I'd seen it and got copies of it. So I, judiciously hand them out to people that, gave them to me, and I gave them, give it back, make sure I got at least one copy laying around here. And finally, we just digitized and scanned it in because we could. Pal did it, and we put it in. Now it's up forever on the internet. Ha, 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 ha. And then come after me. I would enjoy that. Let's go ahead and have a discussion. So what we did is we go, what was so important about this book that Evan Meekum, running for governor in '86, would put this out and printed 20,000 copies of it and distributed it throughout the state of Arizona so that everybody would know what he was in opposition to, the machine that he was opposing. Well, he won. He gets in, he's governor. Well, so here comes the press. I mean, they went hammering after. They had the gay community after him. They had this community, that community. They were creating communities to be after him. He wasn't going to get any work done. No. Finally, they charged him with felonies. I think all kinds of stuff, of misappropriation of funds and all kinds of. And finally, the legislature impeached him. Then he was found not guilty. So this is how much power there is in going after anybody that would oppose them using this information. What the reporters discovered when they came here is that they went underground. They were in bars. They were embedded in, on the border. They were going into Mexico. They were, meeting with the fruit pickers. They were talking to illegal immigrants. They immersed themselves in Arizona society. These are investigative reporters and editors that came, a couple from all these newspapers from around the country, and man, they dove into Arizona politics and went, ew. There were homes that had two-way mirrors, that were filming politicians, having sex with prostitutes, that were having parties, that were doing, names you do know from back then now. This is not disputed. This is not like, this is like it doesn't happen. This is, they know. You just never hear about it. So what happens is these reporters start finding out how it is that the drug war and immigration is never going to get fixed because too many people make money on it because it's illegal. This is what was being uncovered and so on. As they come to the end of their investigation and they start putting it, because they didn't write any of this stuff for a long time, and that's why they hunkered down and had security and all on the floor of, and one guy, they all answered to him, and he was the guy that was entrusted with and all that kind of stuff. Now, he kept, these card files and file cabinets and locked and surveillance, all kinds of stuff as much as they could for the time. Now, keep in mind, it's the late 70s. They warned them not to let the Arizona Republic be part of this thing, that they were part of the problem. Well, they got in a little bit and so on, long story, but what happened was, when they finally released it, it's the Boston Globe, it's Miami Herald, it's the Detroit News, it's New York, it's L.A. Times. Everybody's running the stories everywhere except the Arizona Republic. I remember this. I was in high school. What would happen is the Los Angeles Times would take semi-truckloads of the newspapers, ship them here, and be on some corner or parking lot somewhere here in Arizona, and all over the state and in the valley, and people would drive there to get their copy of the newspaper. The local talk radio stations at the time would read the stories verbatim over the air, and people were stopping on the side of the road during rush hour traffic to sit there and just listen to the stories. It was that big a deal. Oh, what were the stories about? You want to know why the drug war and immigration are never going to get fixed? You want to know why here comes Joe Arpaio from the DEA into Arizona? You want to know why Janet Napolitano comes here defending crooked politicians and winds up being AG, Attorney General, and Governor? You want to know why? I'll tell you why. We'll be right back. Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. Readers of freedomsphoenix.com are constantly provided the information that detail the real news between the lines of propaganda about government policies and the true relationship we all have with coercive governments. Learn the true condition of our economy, innovations and technological breakthroughs in energy, health, computer science, and space travel. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media, the media that is so last century. Corporate media has evolved into nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but we now have a fantastic alternative. FreedomsPhoenix.com provides constant news updates on the issues that affect our lives in the most important ways. Our liberty and our property are under constant attack, and FreedomsPhoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda while encouraging the participation of our readers. Join us at FreedomsPhoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com. FreedomsPhoenix.com, where the revolution between the ears has already matured.